In this video, we're going to create these arch windows with an alpha channel so we can see through them, and I've also put a polygon plane with a glass effect. I started by creating the polygon plane on which the texture will be once completed. With it selected, I'll delete by type history, freeze the transforms, and then I'm going to hold down my space bar. I'll go to UVs and we'll choose planar mapping attributes. In the attributes, I'll set it for the appropriate axes, which in this instance is Z. I'll hit apply. And then in my channel box, I'll make sure that the projection width and height are the same number. Now when I go to my UV editor, I can scale it to fit inside the panel in which I can export my UV map to Photoshop. Returning to my object mode with my polygon plane, I'll then go into the UV editor to image, UV snapshot, and I'll generate my UV map, making sure that the edge color is black and that the image format is a PNG. I'll browse to my folder, save it with the appropriate name, and apply and close. Now I'm going to open the UV map in Photoshop. I've opened up the PNG UV map in Photoshop and I've copied and pasted the window that I want to use. I'll start by positioning it, and then I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times across the surface of the wall. I'll hit Command A on the keyboard to get a selection and keep all these windows on the one layer. Holding down the Option key and dragging with the Move tool, I can get the other 2 copies I need. I'll save it as a PSD. Now, I want to have the windows open so that I can put a glass effect on another panel in Maya and maybe a background image. So in order to do that, I need to edit out the blue of the windows. I'll hit W on the keyboard, and I'm going to set my tolerance very high to about 60. And it really depends on the image you've chosen that you'd have to go in and adjust this. Once I've done that, I'll go in and I can select all of these panels by selecting one, right-clicking and choosing Similar. Now that I have that chosen, I'm going to put a new layer in at the very top of the texture layer I've just made. And I'm going to fill that new selection with black to get an alpha channel. Option Delete or your paint bucket. And I'm immediately going to invert the selection because I want the wall to be solid. So if I invert my selection by going to Select Inverse, and then I fill that new selection with white, I would have something like this. Now I have a little bit of an extra value that was chosen here, so I'll simply get my brush, I'll get my white, and I'll just quickly go in and clean up that. Now that I have my alpha channel created, I'm going to go to File Export, Export As, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Now that I have my alpha channel, what I'm going to do is delete the alpha channel from the texture, turn off the UV map, and I'm going to save. Now we can return to Maya. I've selected the polygon plane to put the texture on. I'll right-click, and I'll go to Material Attributes, and then I'll go to Base, Color, and click on the checkerboard at the end of the slider bar. I'll go to File, and I'll go out to my folder that I'd saved the file into. And now I have the primary texture on. Now I need to put the alpha channel on next. So if I was to go back to my material attribute, and I can do that by clicking on this little box with the triangle, I want to go down to where it says Geometry. And I'll open up Geometry, and I'll follow the Opacity tab, clicking on the checkerboard, once again going to File, and the folder, and I'll go to my folder with the content I'm using, and I'll click Open. Now, nothing will happen until I actually put a light in it and render from the Arnold Render window. So I've got the light set up. I'll go to Arnold, open Arnold Render View, and I'll click on the triangle. And now I have a transparent window. Now what I had also done was, which was just optional, I had added a polygon plane behind it. And then I just put a shader on it and made it transparent